Jimmy, did you want to do another row?
Another row, yeah. I think we might need it.
We were corresponding. Yeah. Yes, that's that guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Did we need to clear
Oh, yeah. So maybe. Maybe just help us. That's pretty good. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. No, you're good. Thank you. Yeah, I was excited. I've never checked out some of his work, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I really like it. I really like it, yeah. So, yeah. Well, I think
Hello, everyone. Hola. Buenas noches. Good evening. How are y'all today? Doing good? Awesome. Yeah, excited to start tonight's reading. Happy Saturday. My name is Ivan Salinas. I'm the programs manager here at Beyond Baroque. I want to welcome you all to the Wanda Coleman Theater and to the double book launch of Mariano Zaro and Ramón García. Let's give a round of applause to these beautiful poets. Yeah. I'd like to start by acknowledging our presence on unceded territory. We stand in solidarity with Indigenous, Tongva, Tataviam, Chumash peoples who've endured colonialism and displacement. We stand against genocide and are committed to provide a space for Indigenous artists and communities as they are the original stewards of this land. Beyond Baroque is a place dedicated to the possibilities of language. It was founded in 1968 by George Jerry Smith, began as an experimental literary magazine, and evolved into the interdisciplinary art space it is today. This building first served as the original Venice City Hall, but since the late 70s has been a space for artists and writers. You can learn more about LA's oldest literary organization that is now 57 years old through our website, through Wikipedia, through all kinds of things online. Our history is out there, and we continue to persevere. We are offering our free Monday night fiction workshop, facilitated currently by Raquel Baker. That happens every Monday on Zoom. And our Wednesday night poetry workshop, which is currently facilitated by Jose Hernandez Diaz, and that is happening every Wednesday on Zoom. Both workshops are dedicated to giving feedback to upcoming poets and fiction writers, and you are able to bring your piece and get feedback from a group of people. For some of us here during this time, this is a time to remember our loved ones. If you celebrate the tradition of Dia de Muertos, it's also some time to get spooky. So we'll be seeing vampires and Emily Dickinsons out here. Next Friday, we are celebrating Jimmy Vega's debut poetry collection, Zirconium Ash, out by Walton Well Press. There'll be a DJ set from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Poets Garden, and the readings will be at 8 p.m. and will feature Seshu Foster, Brigitte Sharma, Karen Kevorkian, and of course our interim executive director, Jimmy. So come out to that. Like I said, come as you aren't, and hope to see you in a cool costume. There may be prizes for the best or most creative. We currently have a new exhibition focused on portraits of the late Charles Bukowski, curated by photographer Joan Ganny, who took all of these never-before-seen photographs through the 1970s. It's called East of Western, and we had the honor of having her in conversation with Mike Sonskin. That conversation is on YouTube if you'd like to check it out. But we are hosting a few more programs to celebrate this author. Some call him the dirty old man of poetry. And if you read his work, you will know why, know more about his life. Definitely a controversial figure, but also a poet and an icon of Los Angeles. So we will be having a few programs, and to keep up with what we have coming up, you can sign up to our newsletter, and you can do so online or inquire about it in the bookstore. And we plan to be here a century more. We'll renew our lease for a century, and it will all be thanks to your support, Yeah. In spite of the many challenges we're facing, we are continuing strong, and if you'd like to support us directly, you can become a member. Memberships start at $75, and that gives you access to events for free. perks in the bookstore, and any kind of special things that we have for our members throughout the year. So you are supporting the lifeline of the space directly. But also a few more ways you can support. You can attend our upcoming fundraisers. On November 9th, we are hosting a dinner at a special place here in this lovely neighborhood. We'll be outdoors, and I'll tell you that some poets that are joining us for that are Safia El Hilo, Palestinian poet Jessica Abugatas, and we'll also be having Ryan Straddle, fiction author, who will be joining us that evening, which is November 9th. And it will be at an offsite location, more details, TBA. And on November 15th, we are hosting the No Fest Poetry Marathon here at Beyond Baroque. And given the slash in funding from the federal government, we're hosting a big fundraising event instead of the Southern California Poetry Festival. So we are still making it feel like a festival, and we're inviting our core community to join us and raise funds for the future of this place. And that will be from 12 to 9 p.m. on November 15th. We'll be having a poetry marathon here in the Walnut Coleman Theater, and we'll be having a book fair out in the garden, an open mic as well, and series of raffles and special surprises for that all-day event. And you can come support. Tickets are live on Eventbrite, on our website, so you can see the full schedule of activities that we have for that day. And before I tell you last way you can support, I'd like to thank the Beyond Baroque team, starting with Eric Alberg, technical director, executive director, Jimmy Vega, Annika, Zoe, Barbara, and Rhiannon and Genesis. They all make this ship run smoothly. Thank you. Yes. Lastly, one thing to say is that there's a lovely reception for you all out there after the reading. There's a lot of us. Hope you are hungry. So please serve yourself something after the reading, and join us in the reception. I'm sure there are wonderful authors. Will be more than happy to sign your book. So that is the last way you can support, by purchasing a book. These are new poetry collections by wonderful poets. Ramón was my professor at Cal State Northridge, and he's just an amazing mentor, beautiful human being, and really proud that he is celebrating a new book. So Mariano, I've gotten to know over the last few years that I've been here at Beyond Baroque. So it's special to see you all continuing to create, inspire, and more. So to say more about the new collections and the press of Walton Well that is just outputting such beautiful work, we have the honor of being in company with the founder and publisher of Walton Well Press, and that is Theresia de Vroom. Let's give her a round of applause, and hope you all enjoy yourselves. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, bad knee. As most of you know who are artists in this room and writers, the hands of publication in America are a very small group of very powerful people. And I was inspired by Gail Vronsky and Chuck Rosenthal and kind of twisted my arm to start a press. And I believe firmly that we should be publishing things that maybe somebody else won't publish because it's not going to make the New York Times bestseller list or something like that. So I'm so proud of being able to have published Chuck Rosenthal, Gail Vronsky, David St. John, Karen Kevokian, and tonight Ramón García and Mariano Zaro, who Gail will introduce. And I just want to read you our mission statement. So I live in Oxford, England, part of the year, and I live off a little street called Walton Well. So the name is Walton Well Press. Walton Well Press is named after a once working well in Oxford, England, that provided water to the artisan population of the neighborhood of Jericho. Now, artisans doesn't mean artists like you guys are. It means bricklayers, common people, workmen, and women, and any who might pass by. Images of the prophet Elijah, who was fed by ravens in the desert, adorn the street where this well resides to this day. This press publishes work by writers who are artisans. For solace and sustenance, they are our ravens. Presses, no matter how small, are our wells. Between them, they give us life. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Such a great crowd. This is amazing. I'm Gail Ronsky, and I'm doing the introductions tonight for the books. We're going to start with Mariano Zaro, who is, as most of us know, a fabulous poet. I've known Mariano for several years, but I no longer count years, so I don't know how many years I've known Mariano for. Anyway, let me get to this. And I have had a hand in publishing, I think maybe his first American publication book, Decoding Sparrows. That's right, yeah, which was published by what books press? Yay. The new book, oh, okay, yay. The new book, The Weight of Sound, published by Walton Well Press, is a fabulous addition to Mariano's already impressive poetic oeuvre. In it, we encounter poems about the medical world, poems about family and childhood art, and in one of my favorite poems in the book, men as they undress. The Weight of Sound is Mariano's seventh book of poetry. According to Blas Falconer, it is, quote, steeped in the drama of impermanence, the inevitable loss of all sentient beings, from the fragile butterfly to our own failing bodies. What I find particularly astonishing about these poems is their ability to invoke a complex and subtle reality, a reality with nuanced shifting among worlds, with flights of the imagination and profound emotional depths, by using very straightforward, for the most part unadorned English. His use of language demonstrates great restraint, great artistic control, along with a facility with the language that most native speakers don't ever acquire. Mariano Zaro is, however, first and foremost a Spanish poet. He has published 5 books of poetry in Spanish. 4 of them have English translations, I think, in addition to 2 in English. His poems have appeared in many journals and anthologies published here and in Mexico and Spain, most notably perhaps in Monster Verse, a Penguin Random House anthology. He is a professor of Spanish at Rio Hondo Community College in Whittier and an absolutely vital member of the poetry community in Los Angeles, to which he adds elegance and charm. Please welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail. What an introduction. I hope what follows is worth it. I want to start thanking Beyond Baroque for hosting this event. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And also to Teresia for having the courage to start a press, and also Gail for editing my book. You are very lucky if Gail Vronsky is your poetry editor. Also, publishing a book is an adventure, many of you know, and it has been a pleasure being in this adventure with Ramón García. And finally, I would like to thank the members of my poetry group. We meet once a month, and they have been very instrumental polishing and making this manuscript publishable. In this, in the weight of sound, there's a little quiet tribute to science. I wanted to do this tribute because I think science today is getting a bad reputation. Yes, science makes mistakes, but in science it's possible to acknowledge the mistake. There is room for change. In dogma, in a totalitarian mind, on the other hand, there is no room for mistake, for dialogue, for reasoning. I also think a true scientist shares a lot of attributes with a poet. A scientist has to imagine, visualize, almost dream what she or he is looking for. That's also the job of a poet. The work of a scientist and the work of a poet is a blend of knowledge and intuition. And finally, when a scientist finds what he or she is looking for, they have to name it. And name it is exactly what a poet needs to do. In this book, you will hear the narrative, the lyrical side of the poem, and also inserts with language borrowed from several scientific disciplines like anatomy, botany, biology, and medicine. I'm going to start with a thermostat. Thermostat. Turn down the thermostat. It's so hot here, my mother says. She is sitting in a wheelchair near the window. The thermostat is a white plastic box on the wall. It has a small digital screen, 2 buttons, the shape of a triangle, plus and minus, a dial with tiny indentations, and the switch on and off. It doesn't work. The nursing home has central heating, but you cannot control it from the bedrooms. Are you my son or my grandson? How old are you? Are you my son, the one that lives far away in that faraway country? Why don't you want to have children? She asks me. It has been snowing all morning, just stopped. Look at the snow, she says, so clean. I am reading a brochure the doctor left earlier. Brain cells lose their ability to communicate with one another. 2 abnormal structures called plaques and tangles are prime suspects in damaging and killing nerve cells. Let's go outside, my mother says. We cannot go outside, mother, in this weather, I tell her. At least open the window. I cannot breathe, she says. Plaques are deposits of a protein fragment called beta amyloid that build up in the spaces between nerve cells. Tangles are twisted fibers of another protein called tau that build up inside cells. Take your children to the park. Play with them, she tells me. Snow is wasted when you don't have children. Open the window. I want to feel the cold. I don't think we can do that, mother, I say. You may get sick. Who cares if I die today or tomorrow? Open the window. Newer research suggests that this type of brain disease is mainly an autoimmune disorder. I take the bed's comforter and I swaddle my mother, wheelchair and all, like a cocoon. 15 seconds, I say. I open the window. The cool air enters the room like a giant, like an ice river. 15 seconds, I say, and we count together, whispering, and I close the window. Thank you. You can wait for applauding until the end if you think I'm still worth it. Vaporetto, and you know Vaporetto is these little boats in Venice, the other Venice. Vaporetto. It's late, and we take the last Vaporetto to go back to the hotel. We will be there in no time at all, I want to say, but I don't say anything because we are not talking much today. After a couple of minutes, we realize that we have taken the wrong vaporetto in the wrong direction, that we are trapped where we don't want to be. You remove your small backpack, drop it on the floor. I lean my forehead against a window pane. The glass is wet, cold. Our sense of touch is controlled by a network of nerve endings and touch receptors in the skin known as the somatosensory system. There is no place to sit. We are next to each other, standing and stable. There are mechanoreceptors for movement, nociceptors for pain, thermoreceptors for temperature, proprioceptors for location and position. I wonder if there are receptors for the skin to say how it wants to be touched, receptors for repulsion. I have no humor in my poems, nothing. And I admire people who are able to include humor in the poems. But there is one poem that has maybe like 5% of humor in one section, not the whole thing, just one section. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try a poem with a little bit of humor. And I'm glad Gail mentioned the poem, Men as They Undress. Just the title is comical. Men as they undress. Some men undress and cover the chests, arms folded like the front legs of a praying mantis. The waistband of the underwear is flaccid, but the socks are tight and print deep grooves on their shins and ankles. They tilt the hips backward. Some men undress and tilt the hips forward. They also walk around with the armpits slightly open, as if the armpits were irritated, had a rash. They like mirrors, towels, soap, body lotion. When having sex, they become enthusiastic, acrobatic. Some men undress, drop their arms and grab their genitals softly, one hand on top of the other. They look down sometimes like war prisoners. Sometimes they look up. The Adam's apple protruding, angular, defiant. Some men undress, and when they remove the shirt and leave it on a chair, for example, the shirt becomes a fountain, then a lake. You can swim in the lake if you want, or cup your hands and wash your face. Drink if you are thirsty. Sometimes they walk in the rain alone. Dogs lick their hands. When they die, earth takes them in like lost children, and you understand they are going back home. They don't leave much behind. A few coins, a pocket knife, a white handkerchief with no initials, clean, neatly folded. In all books, there is a poem that is like a strange family member. It belongs to the book, but at the same time, is not part of the book. So this is the mercy of memory. Cúbrete la cicatriz. Cover your scar. Her right elbow shattered in a car accident or a ski accident, perhaps in the non-accident of war. There is also a platinum plate and 2 screws. She wears long sleeves even in the summer months. Pero no te quejes, but don't complain. And don't say screws, say pins. It's softer. She doesn't go to the pool, to the beach, doesn't go out much. The first known use of the word scar was in the 14th century. Tell me again, how do you say scar in Spanish? As if a scar could have a nationality. One night, she wears a sleeveless dress. What happened to you, they ask. It's nothing, she says. I don't remember. I'm not good with etymologies. And she covers the scar with her constant embroidery of silk and small daily consolations. I was an elementary school teacher for 10 years in Los Angeles. It's very difficult to write about that time because I feel I'm taking a voice or the voices of the children that it doesn't belong to me. But there's one child that I think is worth to pay attention to his voice. The title is An Elementary School in Los Angeles After the Summer Break. There is no air conditioning, and many teachers here relate. There is no air conditioning, and I ask the principal for a fan. The custodian brings a fan to the classroom, but the fan is old, more like a turbine, industrial, loud, so loud I cannot hear the students. When they read, I have to turn it off. We are all sweaty and sticky, and I tell the students, we are going to clean the desks today, yes, with soap and water. Go to the sink, open the faucet, wash your face, get a paper towel or two, clean your desk, or not, splash all you want, who cares? I go to Ernesto's desk, I lean over, and before I say anything, he tells me, I know I can't wash my face here, maestro. Ernesto's left eye is covered with an adhesive patch the color of caramel. He's 10 years old. Ernesto went to visit his grandmother in the summer and playing with other children, playing with canes and reeds by the river. Something happened, algo me hirió el ojo, maestro. This is what he tells me. Something wounded my eye. It was nobody's fault. And then he says, hospital, infection, antibiotics, speaking more like an adult than a child. He says, septic infection and surgery, eye socket, molds and casts, temporary prosthesis and revisions. And now I have to wait for the permanent one, he says. I have to wait. The doctors are all very nice to me, very nice, and I still can do everything, maestro. It doesn't hurt. Today, I want to say what you told me in that classroom, that it doesn't hurt. I want to say it with your conviction, without blame. I'm going to end with two poems. My father attended elementary school until the age of 10, and then he started working on the fields. He was a farmer. And my mother attended elementary school until the age of 9, and then he started working in a grocery store. But both my parents were great storytellers, and they had a vast vocabulary, amazing auditory memory, and they had a way of speaking that it was a little bit slanted sometimes. I call it allegorical. And you're going to hear the voice of my father in the first poem a little bit, and the voice of my mother in the second poem, which is going to be the last poem. This is the first poem. The title is Mouth to Mouth, and it has an epigraph from Hamlet. Why not? Mouth to mouth. King Claudius. Now Hamlet, where is Polonius? Hamlet at supper. King Claudius at supper where? Hamlet, not where he eats, but where he is eaten. We bury our dog in the backyard, my father and I, next to the wooden fence. The dog weighs 32 pounds, maybe 30 now. He lost some weight since he was sick. When we dig in the ground, we hit the roots of the neighbor's cherry tree. Roots explore the soil, seeking out water and mineral nutrients. The shovel makes a hard noise like metal against metal. It's cold on this quiet October morning. I rub the body with a white towel. I make sure the towel has no stains and fully covers his mouth and eyes. Once mineral nutrients are dissolved in soil water, they move into roots by osmosis. We mark the grave with a cross made of small stones, 3 horizontal, 4 vertical. I wonder if the grave is deep enough. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules to a solution of lower concentration. In the summer, the neighbor will bring us his first cherries. Osmosis is possible because of the cell's partially permeable membrane. We will eat the cherries, the sweet and tart flesh. I keep each bit in my mouth until it's totally smooth. Every fruit has its own soul, my father says. I will be somebody's food one day. We become the ones who have eaten us. And this is the last poem. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. It was a pleasure reading at Beyond Baroque. This is the last poem with my mother's voice. The title is Brother. Brother, who is this boy? I ask my mother. I am pointing to a black and white picture framed in a bookshelf. He is your brother, she says. The toddler is standing next to a stroller, wears a small hat. It's a summer day. This is not the first time I have seen the picture. This is the first time we talk about it. I'm 6 years old. Where is he now, I ask. He is dead, my mother says. What happens when you die, I ask. Where do you go? Nobody knows, she says. Everything is the same. Everything is not the same. How did he die, I ask. Fever, dehydration, she says. What is dehydration, I ask. He died of thirst, she says. He was born April 27th, 1960. He died July 18th, 1961. It was a Tuesday. I was born April 15th, I say. Yes, April 15th, 1963. It was a Monday, she says. All my children came to me. All of them but you, my mother says. I looked for you. I had to look for you because I was old. Where was I ask. You were inside your father, she says. Did my brother have toys, I ask. Yes, she says. But they took everything away, his toys, his shoes, all of his clothing. You shared the same crib though, but not the clothing. I couldn't do that to you. Was he better than I was, mother, I ask. She touches my hair. He was strong, she says. He brought you here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. That was a great reading, Mariano. Thank you. Whew. Now for Ramón García. I've known Ramón for so many years now, it's almost like we're related to each other. We met in Prague, in what was then called the Czech Republic, now Czechia, during the Prague Summer Program for Writers. Ramón showed up in the poetry workshop I was teaching, handed in a poem, and as I recall, I said to him, "What are you doing here?" I felt on the basis of that one poem he ought to be teaching his own workshop. We've been friends and poetry colleagues and supporters of each other's work since then. One of the first books published by What Books Press was Ramón's debut poetry collection, Other Countries. His current book, Strange Signatures, published by Walton Well Press, is a dazzling collection of poems. In language that Elena Karina Byrne describes as untamed magic, full of restless music and imagistic wisdom, Ramón writes about Mexico, where his parents lived, about the surreality of all kinds of borders, about gender issues and the patriarchy and art. These poems are charged and gorgeously energetic. with influences as diverse and distinctive as the poetry of Alejandra Pizarnik, whose work I adore, Hart Crane, Jorge Cuesta, and others, the music and androgyny of David Bowie, the figures Juan Gabriel, Pita Amor, Antonin Artaud, Bluebeard, the femicidal figure from fairy tale and opera, looms large here as an allegorical figure and ends up in the last poem of this book at, quote, an unmourned death in an unvisited grave in Connecticut, which is a triumphant ending, the ending that all such tyrants deserve. Thank you, Ramon, for putting him there. Ramon's other books include The Chronicles, Strays, a chapbook, and a monograph on the artist Ricardo Valverde. He's published widely in journals and anthologies and has served as vice president of the board of directors right here at Beyond Baroque. Mariano Zaro was also a member of the board. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, we are extremely fortunate to have Ramón García with us tonight in Los Angeles, in Venice. Please welcome him.
Well, thank you for that that lovely introduction. I want to hear it again. I want to thank everyone for coming on this lovely evening and everyone tuning in on the Beyond Baroque YouTube channel. I want to thank Quentin Ring, the former director of Beyond Baroque, and our current director, Jimmy Vega, programs manager, Yvonne, bookstore and programs assistant, Genesis, Eric, and helping us with everything. I especially want to thank Teresia de Room for her support, and it was just lovely to work with her on this book, and I just want to thank her for keeping literary culture alive in Los Angeles. I want to thank Gail Ronsky for being a great mentor, for inspiring my own poems, and for editing the book and other books of mine. I want to thank Ash Good for the lovely this book design. Elena Karina Byrne, watching from Arizona, for helping me structure the book. My friend Z in the Amazon in Ecuador, he's also watching on YouTube. This book I titled Strange Signatures. I lifted those words from a sentence in Antonin Artaud's writings about the Tarahumara Indians. Antonin Artaud is, of course, the great French poet, leader, critic, and actor, who actually went to Mexico in the 1930s to connect with the Indian presence in Mexico, thinking that he could save himself and the entirety of Western civilization by bringing back the ancestral, archaic culture of Mexico. With the help of peyote, of course. Since he was already a drug addict, it did not end well. He went back to Paris and was institutionalized for the rest of his life. The poems in the first main section are about the over-identification with historical, literary, or figures, real or imagined, the kind of cautionary, I think, poems. The last two sections are a reimagining of the Bluebeard folktale as an allegory for the disappeared in Latin America, for colonialism, for genocide, and for the resurgence of patriarchy in our own culture. It's told as a series of poems in the voice of a Bluebeard's male lover, who conspires with the dead brides, the phantom brides, to overthrow his terror of romance, really. So you have to read how they do that, but I'll begin with this poem titled "The Painter Edward Munch and the Peruvian Mummy at the Universal Exposition, Paris, 1889. Violent brushstrokes figured away the rooted, the consecrated, pale, spiritless eyes en masse gawked at. My royal death he looted, ransacking tribal centuries, millenary rituals, to assign my immortality his own gesture of fear. Removed from Andean land, my exhibited afterlife invaded by deforming colors. From a tomb attended by ancestral gods, he extracted anguish, claiming my divine stature, his own right to terror. He called it a scream, the unlawful, imposing ogling. The ancestors remember Antonin Artaud. This has an epigraph from Voyage to the Land of the Tarahumaras, his writings about the Tarahumara. States, "And the white for these red men is one whom the spirits have abandoned." The ancestors remember Antonin Artaud. Ill-omened apparition, soiled Christ-like man, walking the time-sculpted mountains, the scorching seas of the Sierra's sands. On ancient rock formations inscribed he saw the signs of gods, the soul's hieroglyphs. Convinced our peyote rite held salvation, a release from imprisoning white-haunted deadness. Native to hallucination, he was also its enemy, and as he arrived, he left elsewhere to remember us. This is a persona poem in the voice of one of my favorite characters in literature. It's a parrot, actually a dead parrot, in Gustave Flaubert's great short story, A Simple Heart, and it also has an epigraph. Since a long time, the parrot had been on Félicité's mind because he came from America. When clouds gathered on the horizon and the thunder rumbled, Lulu would scream, perhaps because he remembered the storms in his native forests. Lulu. An out-of-place splendor, my feathers tropical green, cochinelle, gold, and emerald. Plundered fantasia of America. I am the far away, the absolute foreign. My jailers are the anti-Adam. Everything they name, they alienate. Like Caliban, they taught me language, their idiocies. The slavery they invented detains and preserves my stuffed afterlife. In marvelous taxidermied flight, I become the Holy Ghost. To Félicité, poor countrywoman enraptured by my origins. She's the least mad in this Cartesian country of my cold, eternal exile. This is also a persona poem about, in the voice of one of my favorite modern American writers, which Gail mentioned, Hart Crane. Hart Crane went to Mexico in the 1930s also to work on an epic about the Aztecs, which he didn't manage to complete it. Actually, barely start. He was very troubled on the ship back to the U.S. He also took his life in the Gulf of Mexico. Hart Crane leaves Mexico. The ocean's razor brilliance shimmers in the horizon's definitive promise. One final violence will I bequeath to depths beyond the wave's surface chaos, the sundering distances of absolute lyrics. Foundling son of death's baptismal cadence, I am become salt and bottomless obscurity, seabed serenity, where sailors' bones awaken Christ in my soul emptied skeleton, as sharks ritually circle to the calling of mute siren lullabies. Vagrant illuminations barricade Puritan shores. Boundless cold dissolution is my coming home. The subject of this next poem actually needs no introduction. It's David Bowie, which is actually Mariano's dog's name, I believe, and not the first one I've met with the dog named Bowie, but Thin White Duke, a Mexican boy like so many, taken from planet Pueblo, a Michoacan universe, unvisited by narcos and drug wars. During the fall of the American empire, no one took notice of. Creatures of dislocation we were, paying for the sins of history's occlusions. La Llorona came first, and the story my primas told. A giant fish chained up inside a church atop a nearby mountain was Christ's freak gift. The divine fish was made of gold, with diamond eyes big as boulders. When it broke loose in a God-inspired earthquake, it shattered upon the town more gold and diamonds than the townspeople knew what to do with. Then came Ziggy Stardust. Apparition on the late-night TV screen, landed in the middle of the 1970s, great crater between hippies and disco. A child uprooted from Edenic Mexico, moonwalking the lunar emptiness of California's suburbs, abandoned to the incomprehensible, disorienting worlds of the English language, football, and bologna sandwiches, who recognized in him, her, it, what would take him out of the known to the borders of understanding. All I know is that a church in Cualcomán houses an elegant life-size statue of Christ in a glass case. Believers cross themselves, touch the glass in reverence as they solemnly march past. The Nazarene's refined, gaunt plaster face is both foreign and familiar, ethereal. It is the face of David Bowie, but bloodied, destined for Mexico. His wounded body marked by colonial centuries under a sexual spell that refuses to be named. Mexican Christ, thin white Duke, patron saints of dolls queer boys played with in secret shame, patron saints too of outcast daydreams, of the pixies of masturbation, of white cholas with raccoon eyes in the airport district in Modesto, of the science fiction of tears from the galaxies of lust and love, of deranging music composing our lives. David Bowie, good wizard. The fairy dust you sprinkled on childhood is finally settling. We are tarnished gold, rejected rhinestone, exiled silver, psychedelic glitter, outdated colors, tinsel, cancer, illness, madness, alcoholism, recovery, survival, art, poetry. Some of us are finding God. We are stardust in an alien night. Speaking of, I realized when Mariano mentioned humor, some of my poems actually have humor, but I actually figured out too late when I had decided which ones to read, that a lot of them are about suicide poets and, all kinds of unhumorous stuff. This is about the poet, very serious poet, Alejandra Pizarnik. She took her own life also in 1973 in a very staged manner. Would call it performative now, and succeeded, I suppose. Pizarnik. The final scene is feminine, shrewdly elaborate, poet maudite at its pinnacle. It's the theater of death, laboratory of fame, where you left dolls with makeup on, the legendary note, silence and its masks. Assailing the farthest reaches of night, you left darkness hanging, surrendered to the wonderlands of failed Alice's, a triumph. Then came the marketplace and kitsch, the folklore of the quotidian, murderers, the clandestine music of torture. I don't blame you, but I'm embarrassed to admit I believe you. Flowers costumed in blue in Buenos Aires, death still awaiting your arrival, mirrors bewitched by your absence, and your poems, dark adieus in all the cities. You permitted everything. Chapala in early August. A day to read Vallejo, nothing more. The lake under an ancient spell, blessed and mild, the rhythmic glare of its waters. But nothing in relation to my soul. Forgive me, daylight perfection, for being so neglectful. I want to be alone, although it hurts to the bottom of my childhood. The world distances itself, takes humanity along. It is not self-pity to think that love and tenderness have been orphaned, that poets are the capricious children of the world's wounded parents. But who are they? The progenitors who didn't make a place for us in our skin, in their love, in their warring political parties of the spirit. Parental figures, all those lovers who couldn't love or only feigned affection, punishing figures of nocturnal hours, an evil leak in the vessels of lineages made us descendants. The hours of a beautiful day trickle along, and I look forward to the night, its death song of indifference. The pregnant night awaits us in the holy dark lap of summer, bloated with the immaculate conception of morning. In founding morning light will again be born, deformed and beautiful, revered like ancient Maya. And I'm going to end with one of the last poems in the Bluebeard section, entitled Bluebeard's Gift. Your key, instrument of death. Your key, a gift. Behind the final door, the blood murals of erasure, where phantom figures etched you into shadow. I locked you in and turned the key forever on your rule. Your screams revived stifled harem terrors, the furies of communal horror. Cryptic room devoid of mirrors, gallery of imageless internment, wedded to the lowest rung of abandonment. The brides became you, duplicated brides encircle you in prayerless eternity. Thank you.
Yeah, let's keep it going for both of our features tonight. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mariano. Thank you, Walton Well. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Ramon. Let's have a reception and book signing right out here in the lobby. Thank you all for spending your Saturday evening with us. See you all next time.
Good at this? I would hope so. Part of why they hired me. You're great at this. Well, after a few years of practice.